Hi, Nicole Coustier here with Aurelian Coaching. Today, I want to talk to you about the difference between working with a consultant and working with a coach. This is a very, very important distinction. And the reason I want to give you a framework to use to understand and appreciate these differences is because it's going to help you when you're talking to people and when you're interviewing people and trying to determine who is the best partner to work with you as you strategize about your career and as you get through your career management challenges, right? A lot of times people don't know how to pick a good coach. And part of the problem is that you have lots of resources out there and people use these terms interchangeably. Okay. People call themselves a coach all the time, but they're actually providing consulting services or vice versa. And so, regardless of the type of language that others in the industry are using, this framework is going to be very helpful for you to tease out what people are talking about and to make an informed decision about what you need, what you're ultimately looking for, and who might be a good partner for you. Okay, so I'm using the two terms consultant and coach, okay, and there are going to be three levels of distinction that will characterize the difference between these two. Now, I'm going to work from the bottom up. Okay, so first we have just baseline information. What information are you and your partner going to use in order to make informed decisions? Okay, so that's got to be the first foundational level. And then once you have that information, well, you got to do something with it, right? You got to put it through an algorithm or a calculus. You got to do something with the data. And so next, we're going to talk about methods or applications. Okay. And then once you have made sense of that data, the final level is where the expertise lies. This is where decision making occurs. Okay. I'm going to start with consultant. I'm going to walk you through this, and then you're going to see how different a coaching engagement is. It is totally, totally different. Okay, so when we are talking about a consulting engagement, the data, the baseline information that you're using is external data, okay? This can come from any number of sources. It can come from clinical trials and psychological studies. It could come from case studies. It could even come from data from the popular press. But basically, it's external to the parties involved in the coaching engagement. Okay, so a lot of times, this in a consulting engagement, you have lots and lots of data, especially when you start to think about how to best manage your career. There's tons of stuff written on this. There are a lot of strategies that you could pull from here. Okay. Now, once you have all of that data and you determine which external data is going to be relevant, now you have to put it through some sort of method or application. And in a consulting engagement, often that's going to be some type of best practice. Okay. In other words, there's so much data about all this stuff externally that we generally know what works and what doesn't. Okay, so when you are hiring a consultant, you are operating under the assumption that they have access to all this stuff, right? You are saving time by not doing all of this research on your own. You're going to a consultant who has access to this external data, knows what to do with it, knows what works and what doesn't, given your particular circumstances, and the expertise resides with the consultant, right? I'm going to pay you money. You bring all of this information to the table. You make a recommendation, dear consultant, and tell me what to do. That's what I'm paying you for. Okay, so it seems pretty straightforward, right? Here's the thing. When you are looking to hire a coach, it's totally different. Here's how. The baseline information is no longer external data. The baseline information comes from the client and the client only. Their experiences, their thoughts, their mindset, their needs, their expectations, their goals. Okay? All of this other external data for a coaching engagement. This external data might be interesting, but not particularly useful. Okay. And in fact, sometimes it can be very, very distracting. Okay. The purpose of a coaching engagement is to surface or unearth the information that the client already has. You are helping the client make sense of their own data and experiences. That's what the coach is supposed to do. So as a client, right, when you are looking for the right partner, just be aware of whether you need help sorting through the information that you already have and your desires and your wants and your experiences versus I need external stuff, right? All the stuff that I'm trying to sort out here is a non-issue. I need to know externally in the industry what makes sense and what I can take and what will apply to my particular situation. Okay? So if in a coaching engagement, the client is the source of all of this foundational, this baseline information, then the method or application is not going to be a general best practice, right? The application of that information is going to be absolutely unique to the client. In other words, in a coaching engagement, what works for Sally is not going to work for Jane, okay? Because this information is going to be fundamentally different, okay? So in a coaching engagement, we're using your experiences, the client's experiences, to come up with information and methods and applying that information to a situation that is unique to you. And the expert here is no longer going to be the consultant or the coach. The expert is the client every single time. Okay? The coach is a facilitator. In a coaching engagement, no coach should come to the table and say, well, this is what you really ought to do. Okay? You're not paying them to tell you what to do. A coach is a facilitator. It's someone who is helping you unearth your own expertise, break down your own barriers in order for you to own your expertise and step into your own power and make your own informed decisions about what makes sense for you. Okay, two completely different things. Now, I will give an example. So I have people that come to me and say, I need to hire you because I want to revamp my resume, for example. They may not use the word consultant. They may say, I want a career coach, but really what they're looking for is somebody who has a lot of experience writing resumes, knows what the best practices are in order to get the result that ultimately they're looking for, and wants to hire somebody to just tell them what to do. Okay, so even though they may say career coach, what they're looking for is a consultant. Okay, so I enter into those engagements and I say, well, given all of the external data, I'm going to go ahead and revamp your resume. And a lot of times what I do, because I work with mid-career professionals, so these are people who have 10 to 15 years of work experience under their belts already, okay? Which means they have a lot of really good, juicy work experience for me to revamp their resume with. And a lot of times what I do is I take away a lot of the information that is simply not relevant or not compelling and not results-based. So much is put into a resume that dilutes the impact of a resume. So I strip all that stuff out. And a lot of times, instead of embellishing language and using power verbs and things like that, I simplify. I simplify the language and let the results speak for themselves. And what ends up happening is, even at mid-career with 15 to 20 years of work experience under their belts, okay, my clients will get a one-page resume that will be extremely powerful. It's compelling, it's simple, it's extremely impressive. And I say, go use this instead. Don't use the diluted resume with all the fancy words and all of that kind of stuff. Use this one-page power resume. Okay, now what happens sometimes is that some of my clients actually feel uncomfortable. They get that one-page resume and they don't recognize themselves. The resume is so powerful and it sounds so impressive that now they sort of feel like, well, I can't put that out there. That doesn't sound like me. And I always say, well, show me the lie. Show me anything on this resume that you haven't done or accomplished. And of course they can't, because I don't embellish, right? And I don't make stuff up. I take what people have actually done. Okay, so when I sense that discomfort, guess what? I am taking the consultant hat off and putting the coach hat on, because there's something else going on there where my client is not willing to step into their power and own their expertise. And we need to suss that out. Okay. So once I have my coaching hat on, now we're talking about the client's experiences. What is happening that you feel uncomfortable about this extremely powerful but extremely true resume? What is going on here? And how do we find a solution that is unique to you, that doesn't have anything to do with best practices and all this other kind of stuff? Because if it were so easy, we've already gone through this exercise, right? I already went through all the best practices. I know the resume that is going to have the intended effect, and yet you don't want to use it, right? So we need to go over here in this column and sort out what it is that the client is dealing with, so that they can make the informed decision. As a coach, I'm not telling them what to do. Not telling them what to do. As a coach, I am helping to surface the client's own expertise about getting past those mindset blocks and truly stepping into their power and their expertise, and how they need to show up in their career, in their jobs, in their job hunt, in order to accomplish their goals. Okay, so that's the distinction. I hope that was a good example for you to understand the difference between these two things. Now, ideally, you are going to be able to partner with somebody who has an appreciation for those things and can actually take off one hat and put the other hat on, because it's a very rare situation where you need a career strategist, but you just need this piece, or you just need this piece. Usually it's a combination of both, and you don't know how those things are going to surface until you get into it. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Use this framework as you talk to potential partners and determine what's going to be working for you going forward in your career strategy. If you'd like to have more helpful career tips via email, go ahead and sign up for my email list. You can go to aureliancoaching.com/email, sign up, and we'll slot you right in. Until next time, have a great day.